Good afternoon. My name is Laurel Wood. My position here at UK is to do business continuity planning, and I work here in the Division of Crisis Management and Preparedness within the police department. And we have some special guests here today that come to our campus at least once a year to help us with the Campus Community Emergency Response Team. And what they do with that team is they help us with the disaster psychology unit. And the Campus Community Emergency Response Team started about 6 years ago, and it's for faculty and staff only. And it's a 40-hour course over the course of 5 weeks. So we meet once a day or once a week for 5 weeks. So it's 40 hours. That includes instruction, a lot of hands-on practical experience, and it ends with a mass casualty natural disaster exercise at the very end. So that class covers fire safety and suppression, light search and rescue, disaster medical operations, team organization, disaster psychology, and terrorism. So when WorkLife asked me to bring in someone who was an expert in cyber
So we're going to get a little bit into the scam piece of it. Hopefully, is it going to let me click up here? Okay. Not. Oh, there we go. Okay. So when you think of scams, a lot of people think of, the weird person calling in the middle of the night and robocalls. So we'll get into all of those varieties here, and we'll kind of go through this portion quickly so you can get into the meat and potatoes of the other stuff. So phone scams, obviously, it's getting a call from someone's trying to sell you something, talk you into something, buying something, things like that. So the Federal Trade Commission is one of the biggest organizations that kind of tracks this and monitors it. And you can also file complaints on there. So we'll have the information on there, but it's also that link that you can go on. The Federal Trade Commission will also have information on what's the latest scam, what they're trying to do. Sometimes they'll call and pretend to be the IRS. Sometimes they'll call pretend to be the FBI. So you can see where it gets pretty concerning, and they try to get you to give information. So why they're calling? Well, it could be anybody. I mean, it's not limited to race or ethnicity or socioeconomic backgrounds or anything. So, but typically older people do tend to get targeted more often. And we've had also a lot of folks with the deaf community be targeted as well in these types of scams. Typically the older folks have the nest egg and they have a little bit more bigger pensions, things like that the scammers want to tap into. So obviously you want to question what they're calling for, why they're calling, and what exactly they're asking. If they're talking about redeeming a prize but need you to pay a little bit to get that prize, it's probably a scam. One of those sayings, it's too good to be true, is very, very, very strong here. If they're calling to confirm your account information, they should, most legitimate businesses will not confirm any of your information. They will already have it, so you should not have to provide them with anything, especially your social security number, your bank account number, anything like that. It seems obvious, but a lot of people fall to this all the time. So a lot of times telemarketers and the scamming calls will happen at a variety of hours, and you guys probably have had this. It never fails. It happens at my house right when I sit down for dinner, and I'm sure a lot of you get that too. But typically they're supposed to call between 8 and 9, but of course we know that doesn't happen. And if you don't want more calls like this, of course you can always sign up for the National Do Not Call Registry. Sometimes that helps a little bit, but unfortunately once folks get into this, they get into the scammer world and they've become a victim of this, that tends to just throw it all out the window. So do try to get on that early as possible, and just keep an eye on that, because that does help a little bit. If they do call you and you're on that list, they're technically breaking the law, and the best place to report that is the Federal Trade Commission. They've got really super easy friendly links that you can click on and work through that. So some additional things to keep in mind. Of course, keep your personal information private. That's odd in this world of social media that we have these days. But yes, don't give out your credit card, your checking account, social security numbers. Don't tell the callers that you don't know, or if they're asking you to confirm, it's usually a trick. And of course, if it's a free gift, you shouldn't have to pay for anything. No shipping, no handling, no nothing like that. You shouldn't have to pay for it. And of course, if you're agreeing to buy something, there are some legitimate companies that do still sell things like this. Get it all in writing. They should absolutely be willing to either hard copy mail it to you or email it or something like that. But we'll talk a little bit about the email links in a little bit later. Of course, if you have to register the shipping thing again, just keep an eye on that and really check it out. And you can always go on and just do a basic Google search, is this legitimate? And there's sometimes it'll automatically pop up and show, this is a scam, I was scammed, and you can kind of double check yourself that way. Of course, consumer protection's available, the Consumer Protection Agency or the State Attorney General's office. So the Kentucky Attorney General's office looks into scams like this, and they will sometimes post what's the latest in what's happening kind of in your area or your specific area. So you also want to, there's the website I was telling you about there at the bottom, the ftc.gov, and then they also have a helpline. So especially if the caller is rude or abusive, or you've already sent them money once and they're coming back for more or something like that, you definitely want to get somebody involved because they are relentless and they will not stop. And they can also, you want to be aware of agencies and organizations that are going to help you recover the money. Sometimes we've had people that even have signed up for credit to get their credit score checked out to get it back to a good number, and then those end up scamming the folks too. So you really want to check these organizations, check them once, check them twice, and really get some good information on if it's a legitimate company. The pre-recorded calls, like the robocalls, you get that weird voice, the monotone voice. They're typically trying to sell you something that's generally illegal unless the company has written permission to sell something to you. So you want to really it sucks to read the fine print, but you really want to try to do that, because if you did inadvertently sign up, they will call you. So, of course, if you get one, you can hang up. Don't press 1 to speak to a live person. And of course, you all may have heard this, but they're using scams as a way now. If you have to say yes, they're recording your voice and using that later on. So just keep in mind what you're doing. You can, of course, instantly hang up and consider asking your phone company whether they charge for blocking numbers. I think there's some legislation in the works right now, actually, to help with this, help phone companies have a little bit more teeth. So that's more to come on that. So here's some basic scams. The names are kind of weird. We've got all this from the Federal Trade Commission, and we have handouts available on this if any of you are interested. But one particular one, like a grandkid scam, where somebody calls and they pretend to be your grandchild, and they say, I've been arrested, I'm in Mexico, or I'm clear across the country, my truck broke down, I need help, something like that. And then the relative, of course, is very concerned. They think their grandbaby's out there and they need to help, and they want to wire this money Western Union or send them the gas gift card or something like that. And of course, it turns out to be a scam. So typically, I got ahead of myself, but typically that's kind of how it works. They tell you to keep it a secret. I don't want mom and dad to know. So they'll kind of call the next level. They'll call grandma, and they don't want mom and dad to know that they've been arrested or they're having this trouble. And they're very convincing. So my personal story I always tell on this one is my grandmother actually got one of these, and I call her Granny. None of us call her Grandma. So they get a call, and it's a man. There's 3 girls and 1 boy. And so it's a man's voice, and it says, "Grandmother?" And she's like, "Yes." And he said, "Oh, this is your grandson." Well, my brother's name is Jason. And she goes, "Oh, well, hi, Jason." And she knew it wasn't him, because she knew the scammer didn't know that my grandparents are stalkers, and my brother lives across the yard, and they can look out the window and see if he's parked in the driveway or not. So my brother had worked a night shift, and his truck was parked in the driveway, and he was asleep in the bed. So my grandmother knew that this was obviously a scam, but she likes to play with people. So she gets this guy going, and he's telling her this story about his truck broke down somewhere in Mexico, which odd, but anyways, and so going on and on and on, and finally he's getting a little bit more aggressive with her, and eventually it ended up he cussed her out and hung up on her. But so you could see how quickly this escalates. My grandmother had a way, but had she not, she would have probably freaked out a little bit. So they can pretend to be a lot of people they're not. They're really good at disguising their voices as well. So they can get pretty tricky. So of course, always, and you'll kind of, this will be a repeat, but stop, check it out. Look up your grandkids' phone numbers. Make sure the phone numbers match. Call somebody, call your grandchild, and check on them. That seems kind of the obvious. And of course, pass this information on, because it could be somebody else. You're sitting here learning about this, but it could be somebody in your church, somebody in your groups that you hang out with that may have had this happen and they didn't realize it was a scam. So of course, identity theft, everybody kind of has a general understanding of what identity theft is. This is when they get your personal information, like your Social Security, Medicaid number, Medicare, credit card, things like that, and they want to verify some of your information. Once they get a hold of this information, it's sometimes hard to clean up. And you always want to report it, even if you think, oh, I don't think my information was stolen, it's out there, I think I'm good. You don't know. 5 years from now, I have a lady right now that they took her personal information, opened up a PayPal account in her name, earned a lot of money, and now the IRS is after her for $30,000. So you want to report it. This happened 6 years ago. You want to report it, okay, so that you have that documentation and that paper trail to turn into the IRS, because they'll want that. They want their money, or they need the paper trail, one or the other. So of course, protect your information. Absolutely, you do not need to give out any of that information. I've had doctor's offices say, "Well, can I go ahead and have your Social Security number?" Absolutely not. If you need it, I will be there in person, and we'll talk about that later. But I'm not giving it to you over the phone. So, and of course, read your monthly statements and check your cards. That's the easiest way to tell if something kind of hanky-panky is going on. And you also want to look to see, run those annual credit reports that you can get them free on several various legitimate websites. And so that's a good way to check your stuff too. Of course, there's the You've Won scams. This is kind of like the other version of the Publisher Clearinghouse. It's sometimes very, very fraudulent. So typically you'll get a card or a call or something, a little flyer, an email sometimes. You've won a trip, you've won the sweepstakes, you've won $1 million, all kinds of stuff. And the next thing that happens is they want a fee. They need to confirm your address. They want to send you the money, but then you send you a check, you deposit the money, and then they need some sort of verification. But by that time, it's a blank check or something like that, and it bounces and causes lots of trouble. Either way, you're losing money instead of winning it. So, of course, be very, very careful with this. Keep your money, keep your information to yourself. And of course, their main thing is these are like little flyers that you can hand out in the community. So you'll see all of these say pass it on to your friends to help save them some grief. Of course, avoiding the scams, we've kind of touched on this. Register on the do not call list. Be skeptical of unsolicited calls and emails. Of course, say no is always the easiest and the most convenient. And have a buddy to get you help out of high pressure situations. If you are typically one of those people that can succumb to pressure like that, or succumb to someone, or if you have an elderly person at home that may be easy to come to that, make sure that they have a checks and balance system and you guys are practicing that, so that you can kind of check that information and make sure that they're not getting pressured or feel guilty to act on something when they shouldn't be. Of course, cool off. These people are using high pressure tactics, and they're pushy, they're persistent, sometimes they're rude, and they'll get in there and they'll push every button you have, especially for your loved ones. And of course, check it out, get everything in writing, check references and other sources and things like that. So, yeah. So Kimberly's asking about romance scams. So romance scams are basically where sometimes they will, they're lonely. It could be a married or unmarried couple. We've seen both. And they find this person either through like dating apps or social media sites, and they have a common interest. They tend to fall in love with this person. They develop this romantic attachment to this person, and this person may then convince them that they need money. A lot of times, sometimes we get military, and it's not actually a military person, it's someone pretending to be military and saying, oh, I need a little bit of money to help get me through this week, or to get me through because I'm overseas, or I want to get back home, or something like that. And oddly enough, people fall for this. And a lot of times they're asking for you to go purchase like a gift card and send them the digits or the numbers on the back of the gift card. That's all they need. They don't actually have to have the gift card in hand. All they need is those digits on the back and that little security code, and they can wipe all that money off of there. So romance scams, the victims we've seen from that are hit very heavily because it's also a lack of trust, because they're either their spouse or their loved one fell in love with this person. So there's that level of betrayal, I guess, if you will. But then there's also the money being gone. People have lost their entire life savings. One spouse is working, one spouse is retired, entire life savings are gone. Their house is now up for sale, things like that. So it seems like, how does somebody fall for that? But it happens all the time, and it happens here in Kentucky. So yeah.
And they typically keep believing.
Oh, and they typically, yeah, they absolutely do. They typically keep believing that this is a real person and that they were actually in love with this person. And they have found it very, very hard to believe that this was not even a real person. It could possibly, like, say if it was a woman romance scammed by a man, it could even be another woman, and they don't realize they may be attracted to men, but this is a woman, but they think that that's a man. Does that kind of make sense? That's very confusing. And they also have the money, you never get the money back. The money is usually routed through several other countries. It's very, very hard to trace and find, and you can very rarely get the money back. So when people are talking about losing their life savings, it's literally they just threw that money away. So yeah, absolutely. So victim service is one of the things that I have to do and help with. And there, unfortunately, you have to get pretty creative, but making sure they file their reports so when the IRS does come calling, they've got that. Counseling is always an option that the folks need, because it's multiple levels of hurt there. And then the basics. Do they have enough money to pay their bills that month? Do they have enough money for food? It gets down to that level. So it can be a very hard-hitting scam. So I'm going to turn it over to Kimberly to talk to you guys about cyber safety and bullying. We've got a question here in the room.
Regards to those first part you're talking about, to protect our information, then it's not the issue anymore. It's the company that hold our information. You can do all you want, stamps in the phone, but all you hear is that the companies got hacked.
Mm-hmm.
City governments get hacked. Stole our information. I think everybody's information got stolen already. So I really don't know what the protecting our identity.
Right.
Considering companies, city governments,
Mm-hmm.
like that, they get hacked.
So I don't know can the people out there hear his question? No? Okay. So to paraphrase, we've got a question here in the room about, when companies' information is hacked and your personal information is stolen that way, like really how do you protect your personal information when companies or government or anybody, those accounts get hacked? So still kind of the same concept. The companies that are hacked, once they find out, they will send you information like the free credit reporting, free credit monitoring. Absolutely sign up for those, because it may not be right now or tomorrow. It could be 5 years from now. So that's always something you need to sign up for and check, but also monitor your own stuff. Right. So, right. So the next question was that Equifax itself has been hacked, and that's one of the groups that you can sign up for to monitor your credit. So kind of the question is, what's the point? Well, the point is that there are actually some people out there that haven't been impacted. So you want to try to keep yourself off of that list, but then also try to prevent your information from going further. So that's kind of why. I've got another question. Yeah. So for everybody in the computer world, the question is, so what's the legal options? Can you sue those companies that are hacked and if your information is then stolen? So I'm a victim specialist. I'm a social worker. I'm not an attorney. So that's a great question to consult with an attorney on if your information has been stolen. And a lot of them will, you can even get pro bono help to help you if that is appropriate for either civil action or a personal lawsuit or something like that. So I can't get too much into that because I'm not from that background, and I can't give you advice on that. So.
Are you guys doing some programs? Maybe make a feedback out of these things?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like normal now, but you get back here and back there. It's a normal thing, normal thing.
Right. To paraphrase the question is here, what's the government doing about that? So I know at the FBI, when we get these folks like romance scams, the identity information being hacked, the companies being hacked, we have squads and divisions that will investigate that, and they can take it as far as they possibly can get. But these sometimes are very, very hard to follow and trace. But other government groups, such as like the Attorney General's office, the Federal Trade Commission, Secret Service, the IRS even investigates this, the Postal Service even investigates this. So at multiple levels it's happening. It doesn't happen often enough. There's still definitely a need for it, but it takes all of those little reports and you reporting the robocalls and every little time to eventually build up. So it seems like everybody's helpless, and I completely understand that feeling. But there are big strides being made. I'm sure you all saw the news recently of the big, Nigerian group that was busted in Indiana, maybe? Was that? So that's a scam group. So that progress is being made here in the States, and so we're working on it. So I want to go ahead. Oh, keep going.
And also, we have created a couple task force that includes Chase Bank, it includes Fifth Third, it includes Wells Fargo, it includes Experian. So on the federal level, between the Treasury, IRS, Secret Service, all those folks, we are all working together to try to make sure we get the companies as educated as we can. Right now, if you have a problem with your credit card, if your credit card gets used somewhere, call your credit card company. Don't even call us. Their security fraud divisions right now are larger than what the federal government resources can handle. So all these companies now are branching off and having their own divisions that are handling this and monitoring it and keeping track of it. So, I mean, here's the bottom line: is the dark web is the dark web, and this is the egg that's been opened, and it's there, and we're not going to put it back in. We're not going to fix it. It's not Humpty Dumpty. It's not going to get put back together again. It's out there. We're going to have issues like this. It's a matter of the companies learning how to protect their information. Doctors' offices, for example, if they have their database connected to the internet, we have separate systems. All of our information is on a standalone system that has no internet capabilities. A lot of companies don't have that. It's a matter of educating the companies in regards to those differences and making sure that if there's PPI information out there, it's not on a network that is connected to the internet. And how do we divide that up, and what kind of firewalls can they put in? You have to remember, for these folks, this is their full-time job. Okay, we all come to work, we all do all this stuff, and then we go at home and we try to buy something on Amazon or we try to do something else. For these hackers, this is their full-time job. That's what they get to spend 10 hours a day, is finding, the holes in the patches and in the systems and making sure that they're getting the money that they need. That's how they get paid. So it's a very reactive kind of position because that is their full-time job. So we just have to get more people, more young people, more 10 and 12-year-olds, on this to be able to teach us how to get on this stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the internet safety too, because the other component to this is we have what's happening, like we were mentioning, to more of the older generation, but now we have some stuff that's happening to the younger generation too. So huge safety risks right now for us. The major things that we see are cyberbullying, exposure to inappropriate content, online predators, posting personal or inappropriate information all the time, and sexting. Where were you pointing? Okay. Oh, thanks. Okay. So the first thing we're going to talk about is cyber stalking. And cyber stalking is mainly what we find with a younger population, but do not realize that adults, this can happen for them also. So as we get further integrated in our daily lives, I mean, I don't go anywhere without Waze. Sorry. I mean, bang, as soon as I get in the car, I'm turning that Waze on to see exactly which way I need to go and how I need to get there. So we get all these benefits, but at the same time, there's that reality that other folks are able to watch us and know exactly what's going on. Matter of fact, with this most recent iPhone update, all of a sudden it said, oh, you have 37 minutes to get to work. When I got into my car and I was like, I didn't tell you where I was going. How do you know that's where I'm going? And my maps was just ready to take me, to work. And I thought, I don't have it saved as work. I don't have anything saved, but it knew right where I was going. So stalking in and of itself, we think of the creepy, person in the bushes, like watching you and that kind of stuff. So that is definitely a crime. But what we're looking here is what we can use cyber tools for to stalk folks. Cyber stalking, repeated unwanted attention, harassment, contact, and any other course of conduct directed at a specific person that's going to cause fear. Okay, that's the step that it takes. It's going to cause them to feel fear. So a lot of times what we see with our young folks is, hey, checked in at the Starbucks on campus. Now I'm over here in this hall. And hey, guess what? Now I'm going over here to the game. And then I'm going to go over here. And hey, made it to the mall. All right, I'm good. And as parents, in a way that's very helpful. I like being able to know where my kids are checking into. But if one of your students or one of your kids or even one of your single friends has met somebody out, whether it be at a Starbucks or at a bar or whatever, and now all of a sudden I'm going to get on Facebook and I'm going to be like, hey, I really liked that person, male or female. They just checked in over there. I'm going to go over there. And now all of a sudden you've given them this other element of they're not outside your window anymore, because they don't have to be, because you're giving them so much data and information online that all they have to do is have their phone with them, and they're going to know exactly where you are and what you're doing. So it can include the intrusive communications, sending unwanted items, presents, flowers, emojis, little gifts. What is it, goats now you can send online? Following or lying in wait, a little bit more physical there, damaging to the victim's property, posting information or spreading. You've probably heard the term revenge porn. That's another thing that's happening through all of this, is even if it's a bra panties kind of shot that you decide to share with the partner, you break up, that can be shared. We get that in the high schools all the time. Oh my gosh. And now we're starting to get it in the middle schools too. So we're on a college campus here, but please think about this for your families. We have a lot of revenge porn and issues happening in the schools. Obtaining the personal information, public records. Again, your Facebook account may be private, but if I log on to one of your friends' Facebook accounts who's not private and you're listed as their friends, guess what I can get into? Your account. All right. Or the better thing too is your account's private and you go out with a group of friends and they decide to tag you in all the photos that are there. So where you were keeping all your information private, your friends now just made everything very public of what you're doing. And we find that with the kiddos a lot of times. The bad guys, again, this is their full-time job. They'll find the one kid who's not private that's out there with everything and can log in to all the other friends' accounts, figure out who the friends are. And what we find is when they log into one, then they can get another friend and another friend. And if I log on and I go, oh, well, Cassie and Laurel are friends with this person, they must be a good person, I'll go ahead and friend them. Well, it's only because they got that first person that friends everybody, that has 10,000 friends. And so when you get on there, you see your friends on there and you think, oh, this could be a good person. Sometimes it's not. Sextortion. This quote came off of Mike. If you're in the same room as someone and force them to have sex or force someone to make pornography, you've committed a crime. Think about it the same way if they're in different states. So if we have somebody, again, adult or child, that asks somebody for nude pictures or any kind of contraband, we call it contraband, any kind of nudie, selfies, that kind of stuff, and then continues to ask for more, maybe I'm going to post it. You better send me money, or I'm going to create a fake Facebook page or a fake Instagram page or a fake Snapchat page, and I'm going to make sure I send your picture out to everybody. We've had poor victims that have sent pictures of their faces clothed, and the bad guys have taken the face, photoshopped it onto a nude picture and said, I'm going to send this out to your school, or I'm going to send it out to your parents. If you don't either A, make me a real picture, or B, send me something, send me money, come meet me. So we have these situations. And half the time, the kids don't want to report it because they're embarrassed. Mom and dad's going to get mad. If you work for a company, what if my company finds out about this? So in the federal system, we have no specific sextortion offense, but we follow the cyber stalking laws, both the state and federal cyber stalking laws. And so we look at sextortion through that, and we will charge that. We will go after. We have 2 cases right now of the cyber stalking that started with a little bit of sextortion and then turned into cyber stalking, and we have charged them as cyber stalking. So 45% of our perpetrators carried out threats. So again, when I talk to younger groups, I always talk about the crazy old guy in the white van with the candy, trying to lure them in. And we talk about stranger danger. And the fact is, how many kids are really technically getting ripped off the street every day? Okay, very little. How many kids are getting led away because they create an online relationship with somebody and agree to meet with them? Tremendous. So in terms of the sextortion, about 45%, so almost half of them carried out the threats. They did create that account. They did actually send something to parents or friends. 60% knew the person before the threats because they were probably in a relationship. So we see this a lot with either the college students or the adults. 40% met online. So 1 in 4 will eventually need some kind of medical or mental health treatment. 1 in 3 did not tell anybody, and then 1 in 8 will actually have to move because of how strong the cyber stalking or the sextortion can become for them. We're having an audio problem, so we're going to skip over the video. If we can figure it out at the end and we have time, we'll go back to it. So bullying and technology, now we're into the cyberbullying. Sending mean texts. I talked to you about the photoshopping the pictures, fake profiles, posting embarrassing pictures. So the difference between the sextortion and the cyberbullying is sometimes this involves, if we have a boyfriend, girlfriend, and they break up and pictures have been exchanged, a little bit of that revenge stuff going on. This is more just, you're ugly. I hate you. You should die. Sometimes for no reason at all. And what we really get into with the cyberbullying is it spreads faster because it's on the internet. And now if the child or the victim is here in Kentucky, we can have somebody from Wisconsin. We can have somebody from Russia. We can have somebody from Alaska chiming in on how horrible this person is and making comments and adding to the whole mix. So this cyberbullying, it follows the kids home. So before, if you got bullied at school, as soon as you made it in your front door, you were pretty good. Now, everybody keeps their phone on them constantly. So our kiddos you almost physically have to take the phone away from them and get them off of their social media apps if they are a victim of cyberbullying. So if you are a victim of any of these things, first and foremost, especially cyber stalking or the sextortion, please, please, please contact your police department, okay? If you go to UKPD and they tell you that they can't help you, I will personally come over here and take care of that myself for you, but you report it to the police first, okay? Because number one, your safety is the most important thing. So especially if you have a cyber stalking or a sextortion issue, get the police involved. We want to make sure we have your name and number in the system that we know you need to be protected. If you live in a very rural area and something happens to you or a family member and you go to your local police department and they go, this is way beyond us, find your local KSP post or contact the Kentucky Attorney General's office. You can also contact us too. I'm giving you other options. We're here. We're always an option, but I'm letting you know some other ones here too. Screen capture any of the text messages. If you start getting harassing text messages, screen capture them. And I jokingly say, if you don't know how to take a screen capture, ask your children because they will know how to do it. Every device is a little bit different, but make sure you do capture those text messages. We've had many a case be productive because someone was mindful enough to make a screen capture. If they are sending you emails, because you will sometimes get emails, print them off. What we find sometimes is that the person, when you date somebody, oh, hey, well, what's your Facebook password? I want to get in there real quick. Oh, here you go. What's your LinkedIn password? Oh, here it is. Okay. Or if you're dating somebody and you have all your passwords written down somewhere, sometimes we do that too. When the relationship ends, if that person has access to your accounts, guess what? they can go in and create fake emails. You know, if your coworker leaves their email up at work and sometimes you send a note to the boss that says, hey, by the way, I want to sign up for something, they can have access to that kind of stuff. The perpetrators can. So make sure you print any emails, because if they get access to your account, they can go in and delete those, and then you're losing that proof. If they like to leave nasty voice messages, if they've been known to do that, record those voice messages, because again, if they get access to your account, they can go in and delete those, and then it's your word against their word. So make sure you do that. Change any and all passwords. Now here's the other thing too. So if you have all those, what's my favorite pet's name, or what's my mother's maiden name, as clues to go in and reset your password, make sure you go in and change those too if you have to change your password. But make sure you do that. And if you have your accounts linked, unlink them. I still use Hotmail. I've got 3 Hotmail accounts. When you link them, all of a sudden, if I'm in my one Hotmail account, hey, did you want to send it to this friend too? Well, that friend's over with this Hotmail account, not with this one. Unlink those accounts, because if one of your accounts gets hacked, then they're not getting to the other accounts. So in general, just general safety rules. Do not use autofill on your social media. Definitely don't do it on any kind of banking information or anything like that. Most banking apps and all have gone to some kind of 2-factor authentication. Fingerprint, now with the iPhone 10s or whatever, you got your face, you know, that kind of stuff. They've given you some embedded security measures that you have to do, which is very helpful. I get pop-ups. My husband and I have a joint account. If our IP address changes and he logs on to the bank account, I get a pop-up, you know, now on my phone saying, hey, did you know someone logged into your... So when we talked about what are the companies doing and what can we do, they're starting to get to that point where they're finding things to help and protect us. But definitely watch that autofill. Of course, don't use the same password for everything. Know how to turn off location services on your devices and for certain things. This is very specific with pictures. Notice photos on there is turned off. We want to make sure, especially if you have little kiddos and grandkids and all that kind of stuff, nieces and nephews, make sure location services for photos is turned off. We don't want somebody stalking your child or finding your child online and being able to find the embedded location of where that picture was taken for them. Yes, for stalking victims too. Yes, make sure all that stuff is turned off. Maps should be only while using, you know, watch those. What popped up for me the other day was LEX18 weather app. My iPhone, hey, it bumped you 43 times in the past, you know, 2 days. Do you want to change this to? Well, no, I want my weather services to be, my location to be on for that, because I want severe weather alerts and that kind of stuff. So again, we're getting to that point where we're trying to be a little bit more mindful, but watch photos, watch your games. If your kids are playing games, make sure location services are turned off on their games. So if they get that non-friend on a multiplayer game, make sure that they can't find where that child is. Never share your passwords with anybody. And I found this at the bottom. I thought that was really cute. It's like a toothbrush. Choose a good one, don't share, and change it occasionally. So we have done way too many search warrants at a house. And you walk in the house and you just get a vibe. You walk in and you go, this isn't right. This isn't the right house. And we start talking to somebody and it's, hey, by the way, does anybody else know your Wi-Fi password? Oh yeah, so-and-so over here has it, and so-and-so. And now all of a sudden I've got 5 houses to look at, because our Wi-Fi signals get so good and people can pick up on it. And now all of a sudden they've shared their Wi-Fi password with folks. Please do not do that. Kids love to share their passwords with each other. And so now we have 2 BFFs. They're inseparable. They have that riff. And all of a sudden they know each other's passwords. Guess who gets online and starts sending mean texts or mean posts and ugly pictures and this kind of stuff, because they can get on and do that. Teach your kids not to share their passwords. Make sure you log out of your devices when you're done. Don't leave things logged in. The other thing too is, again, if you don't log out of that like Instagram account, works out sometimes if you're a parent,
because I can log on to my son's phone and I'm like, oh, let's see what he was doing on Instagram today. And I can immediately get in and see because he doesn't have it set to log out. It always stays logged in, or as soon as I open the app, it automatically logs in for me. You don't want to, as a safety precaution, you don't want to have that happening. You want to make sure that you teach them to log off, because if somebody finds your devices, that's what they can do. So make sure we're all set to private. Nobody should be able to get into your stuff. Make sure that you get into each of those individual social media accounts that you have, and make sure it's either friends only or customized. Do you know your kids' usernames and passwords? You should. We have a rule in our house: if I go to get on your phone and I can't get on it because you've changed the password, you lost the phone for 2 weeks. I should be able to get on any of your social media accounts. If I can't get onto your social media account, it's getting deleted, and so is everything on it. So you know what? Make that rule. Do you know what apps your kids are on? Because I can tell you the bad guys do. Kick just went offline Friday, or I think they didn't decide, but anyhow, Kick's about to go away. I can tell you right now, there's another app that the kids are already starting to use because Kick's going away, and the bad guys are already on it. So make sure you know exactly what the in-app is for the kids, and make sure you're monitoring those. If your child is under 18, they are a minor. They do not have an expectation of privacy when it comes to their online safety. Sorry, okay? We have pried many a phone out of a parent's hand before because they have to have their phone. No, they're a minor, they're a victim, and that phone contains evidence for us, and guess what? We will be taking that phone. So just bottom line, I'm pretty hardcore when it comes to that. No. If you're paying for that phone account, guess what? It's under your name. If that phone has any kind of bad activity going on it, guess who I'm coming to? I'm coming to you. So again, know what is on the devices of anybody who is under your account. Use family sharing. That way, if your kids are taking pictures, guess what? You can see what those pictures are. Just remember that they, in turn, can see what pictures you're taking too. So make sure you have a couple different accounts for that if you're going to take other kinds of pictures as an adult. Keep the Find My iPhone, Find My Friends, whatever it is for your device, keep that active. That way you know, and that's part of that family share. Make sure you can locate exactly where your kiddos are. Do a Google search of yourself. Do a Google search of your parents. Do a Google search of your kids. What's out there? Find out what information is out there about the people you love and care about. Google search me, you're going to find work, and that's about it. Matter of fact, I had a guy meet me one time at a Wendy's, and he said, I Googled you. And it was the first time someone had ever said that to me. Before he met me, he goes, I Googled you. And I was like, excuse me? He was like, yeah, you did that Vampire Freaks case. And I was like, uh-huh. He's like, oh, okay. But, you know, you get online, you're going to find some other Kimberly kids, but you're not going to find me. Check out what your online presence is. Do you know if you type your phone number in and you type your email in, it'll come up with links to the accounts you're a member of? Careful about that. So this is from the Cybercrime Task Force of Kentucky. Keep your hardware and software up to date. A lot of times you get those pop-ups just like we did before we logged on today. There was a Windows update. Make sure you're installing those updates. Never use autofill or remember your passwords. We talked about that. Make sure the website before buying is a trusted website. You kind of know about Kohl's or, you know, those certain ones that you go to all the time, Amazon. But make sure you review your transactions really regularly to make sure that something hasn't slipped in. Only shop the encrypted websites. Make sure you still see, if you're on a computer, make sure you still see the green circle with the lock. And a lot of times the bar, the HTTPS bar, will become green. That means it's safe and secure. You're looking for that before you do anything. Never give, we talked about this, don't give your personal information over the phone. Beware of those email attachments. These are scam emails that went out to folks. I thought these were interesting. So YouTube Red, oh, here's your subscription, $144.90 a month, but down here you can cancel it if you click on that cancel subscription. Well, now you're going to cancel that subscription, and now you've got malware on your computer. And once you get that stuff on there, It's like getting a really good ink stain on a good shirt. It's not coming out, okay? It's very, very hard to get those out. Same thing with this one. A FedEx shipment, it was saying, hey, just sign in here and you can confirm that delivery, and you're, again, know what you bought. Have you been online buying anything? If you haven't bought anything, then be careful about that. Now, if you shop online a lot, like some people do, and you're like, well, what because sometimes Amazon will use UPS and Postal Service and FedEx. It's like, well, now which one is that? You know, be careful. Be careful of what you're clicking on, because that's all they're looking for, is to be able to get that embedded in there. Worst case scenario, people are actually going to add their account information in there, or they're going to type in their username and password, or they're going to give up some kind of banking information. So free Wi-Fi. You go to the Starbucks. Don't be doing your banking while you're sitting in the Starbucks on that free Wi-Fi. You go to McDonald's. Be careful when you're logging in your username and password, because if somebody's sitting there and they have a really good computer system and they know what they're doing, they can check what you're doing. They can hack into your stuff. Again, professional criminals who rely on this stuff know what they're doing, and that is their full-time job to know how to do it. So you're looking for internet connections, of course, that are locked and require a passcode, which you will not share with anybody once you have, right? So resources, there is a crisis text line, and this is, Cassie and I actually just found this as we were preparing for this presentation, so we really wanted to share this with everybody. This is a 24/7 crisis text line, adults, kids, anybody, because some people don't want to call. Some people aren't in a position where they can actually physically talk on a phone if they're in a crisis. They may only be able to text. Plus, today, kids will say more in a text than they will anything else. Well, it's more for bullying and that kind of stuff, but they will be able to refer. If somebody calls for a suicide or something like that, they'll get them to the correct help, because it's a warm body. You're talking to a live body. So you're going to text it. You're going to get a crisis counselor, and then we'll help you move from a hot moment to a cool moment, it says. But this was a really nice, and they've got a lot of resources online. IC3.gov. This is our site. So we talked about the FTC. You can file a complaint there. You can file a complaint on our site too. So we collect the information. We do an analysis of it. We do public awareness on there. We have a It's Too Good to Be True link also that'll get you to the most recent scams of what's going on. And then if you go on to IC3.gov and you file a complaint with us because someone's either in a romance scam, let's say, or there's a sextortion or a cyber stalking, anything like that, because it's internal to us, they can make a referral out to the field office for an agent to get in touch with the complainant if they've provided their information. Cyber Tip Line, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. This is mainly for the sexual content. If you've got kiddos who are having any kind of online prowling, or they've sent pictures, or they're being targeted, that Cyber Tip Line is fantastic. We now work, the Cyber Tip Line now works with Facebook, Instagram, Google, Yahoo, Kik when they were up and running, Snapchat. They send us referrals all the time if they see a bad picture go across their servers. So we are very thankful to have that partnership now with them. In 2017, we had 1.7 cyber tips. In 2018, we had 10 million. So this is a very good resource. It does get monitored, and we do take care of it. Netsmarts.org is a partnership with NCMEC. I highly, highly, highly recommend them. They have some really great videos. They've got one-page handouts, safety tips, and you can see at the top, they've got it for parents, educators, tweens, little kids. They've even started another section for little kiddos. It's a brand new thing they started. Please jot that down. It's especially great for like church groups, or if you're in Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and that kind of stuff. They're great handouts for that. And that's it. Okay, is there online questions or just straight up questions in here? Okay, okay. And Laurel does have, if you email Laurel, the like IC3, we scanned a brochure for you. NetSmart is on there, so there's some handouts on there for you that she can send you their PDFs that you would be able to just get through email, and that way you would have them. Okay. Okay, yes. Question? Uh-huh.
So Saturday morning, I got up, checked my email. An email from Netflix said, "Welcome back. You changed your password like you, or email and password like you requested." Well, looking at it, it actually had the last 4 digits credit card number. Very well, probably isn't just phishing. I go over to my bank account, look, and sure enough, I've got a charge from scam where they activated my account. So I contacted Netflix. They assured me, this is a very isolated incident. We never hear this. I'm like, and why are the 30 people in the background seeing the exact same skill that you are? And so I guess I have to wonder, at what point are companies supposed to, or do they contact you and say, "Hey, look, I think we've got a problem. We woke up."
So I'm, again, because I don't work in the corporate world, but so number one, if that happens again, contact your bank. Again, they have the resources. Okay. So if you see a charge on your account, please, please, please contact your bank, because number one, they can freeze it. And number two, they can refund your money. And yes, exactly.
And that was one thing we did. And the other thing was for Netflix, if you just say, "Hey, I'm going to get rid of it," and you just leave it out there
Mhm.
so you can come back to it, it's always active. They actually, if you call them, he said, "You call us, we can physically disable it so that you have to call in to get in."
SiriusXM, we don't do automatic renewal. I pay the extra $2 to get a paper copy, because that way they don't have my credit card number on file. It's a one-time only. So anything that does an automatic renewal, ask how you can opt out of that. Number one, a lot of times you can get a better deal, just saying. And number two, that way they're not storing that information for you. So my flip side to the Netflix thing would be, if that was something that just started, so let's say it got like midnight last night, all of a sudden everybody started getting hit, they would start filing reports. It would probably go to some supervisor, then it would go to their legal team, and then they'd have to come up with a media release, and then they release. So when something like that happens, don't be surprised if there's not a 2-day lag time or something, because I bet legal's gotten involved. And nothing against legal, my husband's a lawyer. But I bet legal's gotten involved to be able to say, what are our options? What can we do? That kind of stuff. I'm sure they're monitoring it, and they're probably ITs in the background trying to do a fix on something, but you may not technically hear about it for a couple of days because they're out there trying to get all that together. Typically, that's what's going on. Mm-hmm. Or they're contacting Secret Service or somebody to help work with it. So any other questions from the group? Yes. 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 If it is a child is a child in our eyes, in law enforcement's eyes, typically to the age of 18. I know you get some of those, charged as an adult kind of stuff, but for the cyber crimes, 18 is still considered a minor. So as soon as you turn 18, then you're an adult. If you have adult children on your account, we know exactly, you're going to say to me, "Well, that's not my number, that's my son's number." And we're going to get on his phone or your daughter's number, and we're going to see exactly who's been using that phone. We know it's not you, but it's going to have your name. It's going to have your payment information. It's going to have your address to it. It's going to have your email address. So guess who I'm going to contact first? I'm going to contact you, because you are technically the account holder. So, I'm going to come to you, because also too, if law enforcement is going to get involved and it's on your account, I got to make sure, what if it disables all 3 of your phones on your account? Or, we come to you because you're the account holder, you're paying the bills, your credit card information is there. So we are very mindful about that. Because if I seize your son or daughter's phone, let's say, and you're not getting it back, Cassie can tell you, sometimes it is a big pain in the tushy to get Sprint or AT&T or Verizon or T-Mobile to stop the payments that you're making on that. We've had many a family that we've had their phone for several months, and guess what? They were still getting that monthly charge on that phone, because even though we provided letters and everything, you're under a contract, you've got all this. If you look at your contracts full fine print, I don't think there's anything in there that says, oh yeah, if law enforcement comes and seizes your phone, we'll go ahead and stop those payments for you. That is probably not in your contract. So you're going to continue to pay those fees. So be mindful of that if your phone on that account is used for illegal activity. You could be stuck with the bill.
Corporation get punished. They make these mistakes and negligence, but they just get away with it.
Well, again, I think that goes back to Federal Trade Commission or, you know, whoever the governing agency is for whatever company it is. So, you know, whoever governs Experian, let's say, or whoever governs Netflix, that is the agency that is responsible for any kind of charge or activity with that account. We handle like the American public. So that's who we keep an eye on, and that's who we prosecute and hold accountable. So everybody has that next accountability level. So whatever company, whatever the accountability level is for that company, if it's a bank, you know, you're looking at treasury and that kind of stuff. So DIC, I think, you know, so whatever the company is, you're going to look at whatever the agency is that's monitoring them, like keeping an eye on them. Okay, everybody's-
Okay. If testing. Okay. If you'd like to hear more from Cassie and Kimberly, our CCERT class begins next Wednesday. Like I said, it's a 5-week, 1 day a week series, and we have about 10 spots remaining, and it's for faculty and staff only.